It's time for another episode of D.D.O.D. We're going to talk about skinny shaming and fat shaming all in the same show. It's going to be wild. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of D.D.O.D. I am Emily Dahl, your hostess that's going to be taking you on this magical journey into what is skinny shaming and fat shaming. It's definitely a really serious topic. You cannot get online these days without seeing some type of body discrimination, whether it be men, women, fat, or skinny. Every side has its struggles. It 100% does not matter which category you fall in. We all suffer from the same bullshit. So a lot of you would probably be asking me, but Emily, how do you know? How would you know what it's like to be fat shamed? You've always been perfect and skinny, and you're a model, and you're pretty. So clearly, your life is perfect, and you could not understand where we're coming from at all. What? So let me share something with you. I have been body shamed my entire life, from day one, right? I was always the petite, tiny one that never grew, I was the runt. I was literally the runt of the family. I never grew, I never gained weight. My mother, when I wasn't even a teenager yet, I don't think. I might have been 13. But my mother took me to the doctor once to discuss why I wasn't gaining weight and why I was so small. And the doctor straight up told her, she's got a tiny bone structure. She is little. She's going to be petite. That's why it's a category, because people can be petite. But he did offer a prescription to a medication that would make me eat more in hopes to make me gain weight. My mother put me on that medication when I was younger. And I wanted to go on this medication. I had been told for so long that I was too skinny, that I needed to put meat on my bones, that, I was always poked fun at. People had always mentioned how small I was and how I needed to eat more, and my parents needed to feed me more and fatten me up. So I did. I took those medication and I ate and I ate and I ate, and I never gained weight, at all. My metabolism was just too fast. And I struggled with that for a really long time. I went through my teen years not really dealing with face-to-face bullying. Definitely no online bullying. I was homeschooled. I was protected from most of that. I do remember the first thing that pops out into my head that was probably my worst interaction face-to-face was when I was at Target with my two younger cousins. I was probably 13 or 14. And my grandma would take us up there and drop us off and let us, run around, and we call her, okay, we're done, come and get us. We're done being adults now, or whatever we thought we were. We thought we were cool. But there was a group of little girls walking behind me, and they started making vomiting noises, right? And I turned around, and I remember looking at the one little girl who was clearly the ringleader of this group, and she looked at me, and I could see the anticipation of pure joy, waiting to see me upset from her behavior, just waiting. And I remember seeing that, and it shook me really hard. It was my first interaction with knowing that another little girl wanted to hurt me by basically telling me she thought I was ugly. I was too skinny. I was skinny. I threw up. Now, looking back on it, it hurts my heart even more, because I'm like, what is she growing up around to be that little and to be making those types of comments to other little girls, right? It's hurtful to think about that at that young age it's an issue. Then I have my niece's best friend who lived next door to us. She's an amazing little girl. She's full of life, full of energy, full of personality. She cracks me up. She calls me Auntie Mimi too. And I love her. She's been a part of our family since they were both 3 or 4 years old. And I remember, now she's getting into middle school, and her and my niece are now 13. And I remember a year or so ago, she wasn't even a teenager yet, and she was self-conscious about her body. 100% this little girl is sitting there calling herself fat, and that she's not confident about it, and asking my mom and my sister for advice on this. And I'm standing there and I'm folding laundry and I'm trying to stay out of this conversation because I'm already upset about it that she's even considering the fact that she's fat. And my mother and my sister are giving this little girl advice like she's a 40-year-old woman who's put on some extra weight and needs to get her life in order and make some massive changes. She's 13, or she was like 12 or 11 at the time. Like, what are you talking about? And my mom is telling her things like, well, Michaela, you want to get those extra pounds off. You just need to go out, and you need to go do this, and you need to go do that, and that'll help you. You can't be lazy. You can't drink this. You can't eat that. And I'm thinking, holy shit, she's a child. She's a beautiful, you guys, this little girl is gorgeous. She is absolutely stunning. She's going to be beating boys off with a stick. She's not going to need her dad to do it. She's going to have to be doing it herself. Like, she's gorgeous. All the boys, all the girls are going to be coming to her yard. She's a gorgeous little girl, and she's going to grow into herself. And I finally had to say something, and I told her, I put my stuff down, and I was like, no, enough. You don't need to change you. You don't need to change who you are. You don't need to change what you do. Are you healthy? Are you healthy? Is your body going through a lot of different changes with hormones and a lot of different things like that? Yeah, definitely. Okay, you are a child who is going to continue to grow, who's going to continue to change, and your body is going to go through a lot of different things. I'm almost 30 and my body's gone through hell and high water. Like, let me tell you, you change. First you think you're not going to have any boobs, and then all of a sudden your boobs are huge, or you have huge boobs, and then all of a sudden all your boobs go away and you don't know why, and then you're one minute you fit these jeans, and the next minute you don't fit these jeans. Like, your body is gonna change and go through a lot of different stuff. My problem was the fact that this little girl was getting advice that she needed to completely change everything about herself. You are a child. You need to be concerned about making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in school and that you're having fun, right? You need to be having memories and experiences, not worrying about whether or not you're too fat. You are perfect, and you are beautiful, and you are funny, and you are smart. That's what you need to be worrying about, nothing else. And I think that it's a constant growing thing in our society, 100%. Men and women suffer from it every day. You're always put into a category of either too fat or too skinny. And if you're in either one of those categories, that means that you are not allowed to participate with anybody outside of those categories because you are deemed unfit. In more ways than one. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always that same thing. And I noticed that when I got into modeling, it was really prominent. It was really, really prominent. As soon as I started getting into modeling, that's when my body was really put on display to be judged by millions of people across the globe. And I was told on a daily basis that I was too skinny, too skinny, too skinny. You're too skinny to be a pinup model. You can't be a pinup model. You're skinny. She looks like a little boy. She's too skinny. She's unattractive. She's not a real representation of a woman. Marilyn Monroe wouldn't stand for this. She's too skinny. She's too skinny. All this bullshit. And then I would see women of my opposite body type dealing with the same thing. So I was like, well, clearly it has nothing to do with us. You can't be too skinny, you're too curvy, you're too fat. So why don't we just be too much of ourselves? And I really started to stand up against body shaming and every aspect of it. You know, I really started speaking out about the attacks that I was getting and sharing my personal stories, because I think that if young women see that even models who they look up to, little girls want to be models. They think that that's the ideal image, and if you look like that, your life will be perfect. And I want them to know that that's not the case. We're all the same. We all share these same struggles. We all walk down the same road in life trying to find out what our purpose is and what we want in life. And I don't think something like the vessel that we've been given to get there in, being judged so harshly, should be our main focus. And it's kind of a rise. The more social media rises, the more self-conscious I see women becoming. And I can speak out to women because I am a woman. So I can connect on that. But I know men also suffer from that. People of every gender suffer from being attacked on whether they're too skinny or too fat. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It doesn't matter what your sexual preference is. It doesn't matter what your race is. There's always going to be the people that others deem too fat or too skinny. So I started trying to speak out against it, and then I ran into basically women claiming that they were body positive and that they wanted all women to learn to accept themselves and embrace themselves and be who you are and be true to yourself. F beauty standards. But then they would continue to lash out or bully the other sizes, but they would also completely demean the women that followed them. So I struggled with that as well. You have women of both body types standing up for their own body types while bashing the other body types. So basically all you're doing is creating more of a problem. This is something that continued to grow for several years with women, sharing meme after meme after meme and spreading this wildfire of hate against the opposite body types, right? And I think that it's not 100% in hate or 100% in being judgmental. I think that they have a purpose, and I think that they're not trying to do what they're ultimately doing to the other spectrum. I think that they really are trying to make a difference, and I think that they're trying to stand up and say, this is my experiences, and I want women who understand that to follow me so I can help you and you can help me. And I think that that's really, really important. But I also think that it still keeps women divided. So if you have women over here that are supporting only curvy women and you have women over here who are supporting only skinny women, you still have this huge gap, of not only all the women that are the other sizes, but you keep these two parties completely separated from supporting and loving each other. And I think that's where we're really missing it, 100%. I think that we're really missing that part of the puzzle. I think body shaming is so outdated. Like, okay, it was trending, it was a thing, it was a huge topic, every blog was about it, every social media was about it, every model was about it. I think that it's outdated. Find something more serious to complain about, right? There's way more serious topics. Being too skinny or too curvy neither one of you guys are victims, unless you want to be. Do you want to be? I don't want to be. I don't want to be a victim. I want to be able to just live my life, wear what I want to wear, embrace the roller coaster of my body without other outside sources piling on a bunch of negative shit that I don't need to deal with. I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of people's really big things that they'll put out there, like their biggest argument is, well, Marilyn Monroe was plus size. Please use Google for more than just porn and cat videos and Google and do some research. No, she wasn't. Marilyn Monroe was actually more my size than she was plus size. But here's another fun fact. I've recently become plus size myself, according to society standards. That's for another video. But what I am saying is that Marilyn Monroe was Marilyn Monroe, and I shouldn't be compared to her. I shouldn't be. Whether Marilyn Monroe was plus size or was not plus size, her and Audrey Hepburn were not fighting over whose bodies were more acceptable. They were both focusing on their careers and who they were and what they wanted in life. They weren't fighting over who looked better in a pencil dress. They didn't give a fuck. All they cared about was making a difference and doing what they wanted to do in life and embracing what they loved. Poor little Marilyn was used beyond recognition. Bless her heart, we love you, girl. For Marilyn. Again, another video. But I mean, women are constantly compared to all of this, and you have all this shit out there on the media that's like, when did this become sexier than this, and when did this become sexier than this, and it's all just propaganda feeding into us and completely taking over our brains to where we can't even get dressed in the morning and look in the mirror. And we have to get past that. As women, we need to come together, and when you say things like F your beauty standards, F all of the beauty standards, and not just the ones that apply to you. All of those beauty standards are bogus, and they're shit, and they're made up to make money. That's what it is. It's an industry. It's a business. And we should not be holding our personal temples to the contracts that those beauty brands and those style brands make with those companies. They don't apply to us. They don't apply to our bodies. They just don't. And I think when it comes to skinny shaming and fat shaming, the real bully is us. Because we continue to try to spread this message of self-acceptance and body acceptance and how we all need to just embrace everybody for who they are, but we still push out those who don't fall into our same categories. And I think it's bogus. As a model and as a woman, I want to spread a message of self-love and self-acceptance of any spectrum. The things that matter to me are you healthy and are you happy? If you're healthy and if you're happy, then whatever else comes along is a bonus. You know, if you get good hair, or if you get good skin, or, you know, but again, all of that stuff fluctuates. My hair and my skin have gone through a million different changes as well, because we're humans, and we evolve and we change. And it's not something that we can stop, and it's not something that we can fight, but we can focus on our inner health and our inner being, our mental and our spiritual, and our energy that we're putting out into the world, like 100%. That's what I want to focus on. I don't think that skinny shaming and fat shaming are different. They're the same thing. It's one individual destroying another individual based off the size of their physical form. A lot of people will constantly fight that one side is worse than the other, but ultimately we've all just got into the same pool and we're all drowning in the same mess of judgment bullshit. So that's what needs to be focused on. My name is Emily Dahl. I recently became a plus-size model compared to standards that the world has put out there on my body. And I'm going to embrace it. And some are going to bash me and some are going to lift me up. But ultimately, it's how I see myself that matters. And I think I'm beautiful. So, that is D.D.O.D for this week. What is your feeling on the skinny bashing and the fat shaming? Do you think that they fall into the same category? If you do, why? If you think that they're completely different, I'd like to hear that too. Leave your comments below. Let's hash it out like adults. Let's share our knowledge and our emotions and our feelings, and hope that maybe what we have to say will help somebody else in their journey. But until next week, that's the shtick. Hopefully I didn't hurt anybody's feelings too much. But remember, the body that you have is the only one that you have. And you can either embrace it or you can hate yourself. I think that would be a total waste because you're beautiful and the world needs you shine. So, I'm Emily Dahl. This has been D.D.O.D, and I will see you guys later.